What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Fantasy Endgame. It's draft night, and it's almost every night for us. We're always drafting, and we're here to draft with you. And if you want to get in on this draft, you can join. We're going to have that link in the comment section pretty soon. Now, you will notice, as usual, if you're new here, then let me explain. Uh, Half of this draft, if not more, I think is already full because we have our flock members. They are already in. You have access to that mock draft part of the Discord. All the things you can get with your membership, you can see it right there on the screen. And we have, if I'm right, exactly one spot left in our Dynasty League, Building Champions. We may not even have any by the time we're done drafting right now tonight. But look, we tell you how to build a champion in Dynasty Leagues. And we're going to do the same for a redraft. So you get access to bonus videos, articles, and of course, all of our rankings throughout the offseason, all of that and a lot more. So go to flockfantasy.com/endgame, see what it's about. 30% off now. That's not going to last forever. I guarantee that. But let's go ahead and get to tonight's draft. Tonight we're looking at redraft. Let's see. What's the format here? Are we going back to 2 receiver?
Yeah, 2 receiver, 2 running back, 1 QB, 1 tight end, 1 flex, full PPR.
Full PPR. All right. Got to be full PPR.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. We got some new people in the house. Nice to see. Hopefully some new people get in on it. We actually have 5 spots open. It's a little more than last week. So if you want in, again, you want to guarantee your spot, join the flock, get a membership. But otherwise, it's a free-for-all. So let's see who gets in.
All right, here we go. We got Ale, Andrea, KG Artani, Paper, and Joe Castles. Joe Castles.
Joe here. Not too far from me in San Antonio, I believe. All right, well, we're full. Let's get to it. 2 receiver, 2 running back, 1 tight end, 1 quarterback, 1 flex. So let's see. Number 1, how early running backs go off the board. And of course, I think we're going to spend a lot of time talking tonight about the running backs that aren't officially on their teams, not playing until something happens. See where Saquon Barkley goes, see where Josh Jacobs goes. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. Man, that's going to be – those guys are probably going to be tough for most of the rest of the offseason here because we already know they've already said they're not reporting to training camp. They're not going to. Does that mean they'll just show up like right before the season and be like, fine, I'm here, I'll play? Or will they not play? And then how do you handle these guys? I mean, like where, let's say it's a week before the season, you have your fantasy football draft. Saquon Barkley hasn't reported to camp yet. Josh Jacobs hasn't reported to camp yet. And there you are. It's like in the 3rd round or the 4th round, Saquon Barkley staring at you. Do you take it? Do you take him? What do you do?
I know. It's like how far do they fall until, and it's weird to saying they, because not just one guy. How far do they fall? And we're not talking about just some starting running back. We're talking about one of the best running backs in the game with Saquon Barkley, and really the guy who was, other than Austin Eckler, the most productive fantasy back in the game last year was Josh Jacobs. I mean, I don't know. You know what I tend to say is like I'll let somebody else take on that risk, because when you take a chance on a guy coming back from injury, when you take a chance on a guy who's holding out, you take a chance, you get bit more often than not. The upside doesn't necessarily match the risk. So yeah, I'm gonna let probably somebody else do it. I'd rather have a guy I know is gonna play, somebody there's risk with every player, right? Anybody can get injured, anybody can have a bad season, but a lot less risk, because here's the other thing is not just, will they show up or not? That missing training camp, not the best, because conditioning, chemistry, coaches, confidence in this player, there's a lot of factors that go into it. Barkley shows up week 1, of course they're going to throw him out there on the field, but it gives other guys a chance to step up. gives a team a chance to say, okay, well, we do have to prepare for life without Saquon Barkley. What is that going to look like? You know what I mean? So it's just a lot of other things.
Definitely. It'll be a interesting offseason as always. Interesting training camp, I should say, as always.
Well, I know some person not scared to hear that Andrea took Saquon Barkley at the 2-3. It's kind of where he usually goes. So I guess no worries from her.
I guess. Man, I do still feel like Barkley probably just sucks it up and plays under the franchise tag, even though he doesn't want to. I never got the feeling. Obviously, I don't know Saquon Barkley. I don't know his people. I'm just going by kind of like the way he's talked in interviews and things like that. I've always kind of gotten the feeling that, he doesn't really want to hold out the entire season.
Yeah, I don't get that impression either. But it's funny because we had thought Jacobs was a guy who's like, yeah, I don't care, I'm gonna take a stand. But now I heard today they were saying like he doesn't plan to miss any games. Well, okay, well then what's the point of holding out a training camp? Like what good is that doing you if you're just gonna play anyways?
Oh, really? Where'd you hear that at? I haven't heard that.
Let me see. I saw it somewhere. It's probably
That's the other thing. We're at the time of year where you got to be really careful about there's a lot of fake news,
yeah.
reports,
noise,
sources, right?
Yeah. I know what you're gonna do.
Yeah, I feel like maybe I should have gone running back in the last round, but
well, it's pretty clear everyone tonight making a statement. They do not care about the franchise tag thing. They don't care about holdouts. Not scared.
No.
We saw Barkley go at the 2-3 and Jacobs at the end of the second round, which he doesn't even always go in, even a regular draft. So I guess nobody's worried.
I guess nobody's worried.
Paper thinks Saquon's coming to Dallas. Look, that's nice if you're a Cowboys fan. That doesn't make sense, but there is a possibility of a trade, right? It's possible, but I doubt it because what team is going to say, "Yeah, we'll pay you through the nose for running back"? If they didn't already do that with a guy that they have on the roster, why would they do it now? So,
but
I think it's either they show up and they play or they don't. That's it.
Yeah, I think even if they traded him, he'd still have to play under the franchise tag. He just has to play under the franchise tag for the new team, if I'm not mistaken. Like, from what I understand, the soonest any of these guys can be signed to a contract is the day after the regular season ends, which is like January 7th, I think. January 6th, 7th, something like that. So it doesn't even make sense to trade him because it's like, okay, now you got to play under the franchise tag for your new team. So,
yeah, unless some new team promised him, like, yeah, just play for us 1 year, and we pinky swear we'll pay you, a really, really big amount of money after the season's over, assuming that you play really well and don't get hurt. Like, come on,
exactly,
that's not going to happen.
Exactly.
Look, I mean. Even if I guess I could look at it this way, even if you're just optimistic or you just think like, it's going to get figured out, like these guys have nothing to gain by holding out, like they'll be there, they'll be fine, nothing else will change. I still kind of feel like taking Barkley early second. I mean, that's where he was going normally, but that's still almost his ceiling, isn't? I mean, is he? I guess you could say his ceiling is that he's a first round player, maybe one of the top 2 or 3 running backs. It's possible, but I don't really know. I don't think I would take him over Eckler or Bijan or CMC anyways. So I kind of feel like you're still drafting him at his ceiling. And with this news, I would only take him if he does fall.
Yeah, I agree. I think, but I mean, he's like, I wouldn't, if they had, let's say they had worked out a deal and we knew he was going to play all season, I don't think I'm taking any of the running backs behind him over him. Maybe I would take some of the receivers. Like I would take Olave and Waddle over him. That's probably about where I would. So Because I mean, that's like you gotta, if you're gonna go running back, you gotta take him at some. You know what I mean? You can't just wait. Like you
Yeah.
can't wait like I did. And now I'm gonna
Well,
get, I don't know.
I mean, look, you commit to zero RB. I know I agree with what you're saying. You're right. I don't think that I'm all of a sudden going to bump Chubb or Ramondre over Barkley
No.
just yet. Yeah, I just would rather go receiver. Like I would rather take Olave or Waddle. But look, zig or another zag. If everyone's going running back early because of the format, you you can load up on other positions.
Man, I can't even get Dobbins in the 4th round anymore.
Yeah, he's a guy we're definitely talking up enough that we won't be able to get him in our own leagues.
No, I got to stop talking about him. I got to be like, hey guys, I just saw a video and he's still limping.
Yeah. Look at these highlights, and then he played from last year's training camp.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, this puts me in a spot where I'm probably going to take a guy I don't normally take, but I think it's good value, and running backs are going earlier. And I do have this player now above Brees Hall.
Oh, I thought you were going Brees Hall there. I was like, oh man. You definitely put me in a spot here now.
Well, I mean, I love Brees Hall for you.
Brees Hall is my RB1 sounds terrifying.
I mean, this is the point where there's still some good receivers left. There's nobody who really I don't think stands out. I mean, I see some guys I would be happy with as my third receiver, but it's like, do you load up on that first and just go full zero RB?
Oh man. I almost the joy of snake drafts. Yeah, I guess I gotta go Brees there, but man, my goodness, Brees is my RB1 is like I might as well still be going zero RB.
Well, I I thought you would take Mike Williams. Actually, he just went. I thought you might.
Well, that's the thing. Like, there's multiple wide receivers on the board. I would be happy with if like this isn't really the format where you need to go, crazy late, crazy zero RB. So I did look at the guys behind me, and Paper had 2, KJ Artani had 1, but I'm like, I don't know if Brees will make it back to me. So, but I'm happy with Hollywood making it back to me.
There you go. Yeah, see, turned out happy ending because you got one of the receivers you could have got before.
Yeah, it's just man. If Brees isn't ready week 1, week 2, week 3, man, as your RB1, that is.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, I see. I know if I wait on a receiver here, I'm going to regret it. There you go. Okay, so a couple before we get to these dynasty questions, sports spotlight. How do you manage free agents in your league, like the non-drafted players? It depends. There's different ways to do it. Free for all is kind of for beginner home leagues, or you can just pick up anybody anytime. That's how I grew up playing, but I think we've evolved beyond that. So usually waivers, right? Waivers weekly, they run on, it depends, usually Tuesday night?
Yeah, usually Tuesday night. I like Wednesday night better because it gives you an extra day to get injury news, right? Maybe somebody returned to practice on Wednesday or somebody's trending towards practicing, but I think the standard is Tuesday.
Yeah. So usually waivers. So you put in a claim. You can do it based on standings, which isn't as good. Usually, if there's a fab budget, people have like $100 for the year. There's no one way or right way to do it. It's just whatever you prefer. But waivers is a little more fair, and it's much more interesting and competitive when you have a budget. That way, you have to think about it. There's strategy, and it's not just the guy who's doing the worst gets the best player and vice versa. So now we do, man. Okay, so I really thought about taking quarterback, but I was like, okay, well, I can at least get a good one on the way back. Apparently not. All the quarterbacks are getting taken this round.
Yeah,
So I'll just play the late quarterback game.
This is a QB run here.
Okay, so we were talking about this before we went live. Well, now we have a formal request. A non-Superflex Dynasty tomorrow. Okay, so we talked about this. Dynasty season, I mean, it's all year round, yeah, but Dynasty draft season isn't. Dynasty draft season is ending fairly soon because, you need some time there. We are going to draft our Building Dynasty leagues, our second league, probably starting this week because it's pretty much full. In fact, it might be full already. So we'll do one final Dynasty mock for you guys. We'll do it tomorrow. Non-Superflex. What do you think? You're okay with that?
Yeah, that's fine. We haven't done a non-Superflex Dynasty in a while, so that's fine.
All right. So we'll do one last Dynasty mock for y'all tomorrow. Now, of course, you can still check out the course and all that on Flock. But yeah, I think we're going to wrap up the Dynasty leagues and then move on to redraft because it's going to be draft season before we know it.
Yep.
All right, now Clayton's got a dynasty question. Win now team. That's the only kind of team there should be. Superflex. Would you rather have? Oh, okay. Lamar, Bijan, and Diggs, yes. Or Mahomes, Etienne, Mike Will, and Cooks.
I think. I mean, it's hard not to have Mahomes in a Superflex, but you're getting a big running back upgrade. And look, Diggs, Mike Will, and Cooks all basically the same age. Cooks, I think, even older than Diggs. Maybe Mike Will's a little bit younger than Diggs. Diggs is better. The Lamar Bijan Diggs side for me.
Yeah, I'm taking the first side fairly easily, I think.
Yeah.
Because
the only question is, do you really want to give up Mahomes? But I think you're getting enough in return.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much of a drop from Mahomes to Lamar. I mean, I know in Dynasty, yeah, I would definitely prefer Mahomes, but again, it's not a huge gap there. Bijan over Etienne, for me, that's a pretty big gap, especially in Dynasty. And then Diggs, you're saying Mike Williams and Brandon Cooks aren't even starting? Well, why not get the guy who's going to be your wide receiver one? I mean, yeah, for me, it's easily the first side.
Man. I don't really like this spot much either.
All right. There we go. Let's see. No, we haven't. We're Royland, we'll save that question until he gets taken. Okay, Dynasty here. Kelsey Andrews Pitts. Rankings for them. Dynasty and a startup.
I'd probably go Pitts. Andrews, Kelsey. Unless you're like full, like if you've just gone completely all in this year, if you got like, you. But even then, because I mean, where's Kelsey usually goes by like round 5 or round 6 in the startup, so you might not even know yet. So I go Pitts, Andrews, Kelsey.
I think Pitts still has to be. I mean, the age difference is so massive. I mean, his
Yeah.
ceiling is so high. I think he has to be the number one in Dynasty. I still have Pitts number one. I have Kelsey number 2 just because he's so clearly the number 1 tight end in fantasy, and I don't get the feeling he's ready to retire after this year. And I'm not going to look 3-4 years down the road just yet, between a different, like him and Andrews. So I go Kelsey number 2, and I go Andrews next. As far as where they should go, like in a startup, I'm not taking the tight ends until like at least round 5. Now it depends if it's super flex or not, but yeah, I'm not reaching for a tight end just yet. Even if you're a win now, kind of team, I don't think I would take Kelsey before then because again, as dynasty, you have to build long term.
Man, I am hating the choices every time it comes to me. It's like, ugh. Yeah, these are tough spots. These are definitely tough spots. I mean, you can tell. I mean, we used to get David Montgomery in like round 10, Rachaad White in like round 8 or 9.
Yeah, the problem is, the value usually comes at this stage, round 6, 7, with running back. But in this format, running backs are going earlier, and this really mimics more probably a typical draft, right?
Yeah.
And then wide receiver, this is where it's just like, and you don't know. You take a veteran who you're not sure is going to match his best days, like a Mike Evans. Do I take a rookie like I did with JSN? So yeah, I mean, at least I feel better because this is 2 receiver and 1 flex, so he's not a starter for me. So yeah, and there's still some decent running backs, I guess, if you like Joe Mixon.
I kept passing. I'm looking at Joe Mixon. I'm just like, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like, he feels like Zeke to me. Like, he was dust. He was complete dust last year. Complete dust. He was awful. But people are like, and I did this too with Zeke. The first year Zeke was dust. The next year I was like, nah, it's Zeke. He can do it. And he couldn't do it. And then last year I was like, he's dust. I'm done. And that's what Mixon feels like. Mixon feels, I mean, he was so bad. So 800, he had 800 rushing yards with like 220 carries or something. It was like ridiculous. It was like horrible. I'm like, I don't care that he's on Cincinnati. I don't care if you don't think anybody's behind him. He was horrible last year, and I could honestly see Chase Brown maybe not taking over the backfield, but kind of like a Rachaad White, Leonard Fournette situation where Chase Brown is they're basically like splitting reps.
It's funny because all the talk now is about running backs and not getting paid what they deserve. I mean, when you have a guy who's having to take a pay cut just to stay on the team, it's not a good look. I mean, I get they want to keep him because he's familiar. He's been there for years, and they have a team that they just want to keep it together, right? They don't need to do anything big on offense. They don't want to rock the boat, so that's fine. But yeah, all the signs are pointing to him not being better, but worse. So
Yeah.
I don't mind taking him as late, like as my 3rd running back, but I don't want him starting. So actually, I think where he went today is fine because 7th round, sure. As for King of the World, that's his 3rd running back, fine. But not before then.
I mean, we say that a lot in the offseason, like, oh, it's fine. Oh, he's your 3rd, it's fine. But if he's a bust, it doesn't matter if he's your 3rd, 4th, or 5th running back. It's not fine. It's just not, like, right? Like, and I really do think he's going to be awful this year. Maybe he'll start off okay because we see a lot of these like old dusty running backs. I mean, he's not old though. That's the crazy thing, but he's got a ton of wear and tear on him. It's amazing how many touches he has. But we see these guys like last year, Dalvin Cook started pretty well early in the year. Alvin Kamara had some nice games early, but then the season goes on, their bodies start wearing down. Yeah, I don't know. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. And I don't even like Tyler Lockett that much. Who I took over him.
Yeah, I think Lockett will still be fine. I'm not too worried about him, but yeah, I do hear what you're saying there.
I did contemplate Dalvin Cook. Yeah, Barkley.
It's funny. Dalvin Cook, he's gone to 7-8. I don't know. At this point, I'm not touching him because what team that signs him is really going to make him a featured back? If it's the Jets, him and Breece Hall and the timeshare, I don't think that's good for either of their values.
Well, my guess is he's going to wait until a team loses somebody, and then he will be a featured back. I mean, if no team's going to pay him $10 million to be in a timeshare, like, or whatever he wants. Like, come on, that's not going to happen. So he's either going to take a massive pay cut and go into like a timeshare or something, or he's just going to wait, and then like when running back X gets hurt and is out for the season before the season even starts, okay, that team will panic if that team feels they're a contender, of course, and bam.
So yeah, keeping this comment here, Rise, we talk about Barkley and getting paid. Yeah, they said, look, you liked him enough to draft him, like number 2 overall, but not enough to keep him and pay him. That was a few years ago, and that was also a different market, and that was also a different regime. This is not the same coach and all that, so you can't look at that and say, why wouldn't they keep him? Well, the people who drafted him and wanted him aren't there anymore. So, yeah.
Well,
all right, I'm going to do this because I can't let him fall any farther. I'm sorry. Just because DeAndre Hopkins is there doesn't mean Treylon Burks is just dirt now. I'm sorry. He's still going to be, and in fact, I can't remember who it was saying the way that you look at, Tennessee's offense and the way these guys are performing lately between Hopkins and Burks still figures to be the X receiver. That doesn't mean that he's going to be the top target necessarily. Just means that that's the way that they're going to use him. And he might benefit from a lot more of these slants and more of the deep routes. And Hopkins is going to run more of these hooks and, short, easy throws. We'll see. Look, it's still not an exciting offense. I'm not saying it is, right? But it's not like Burks. He's done now. He's not going to get any. That's not how NFL offenses work. They need more than one receiver, which is why they signed DeAndre Hopkins. Okay, so now that we know about DeAndre Hopkins, like we know how far Burks is falling. Like I'm not sure how much farther he would have fallen, but what about Hopkins from where he went? Do you feel that's fair? Do you feel like it's too soon?
It's probably pretty fair. I think probably pretty fair where he went. I don't think we can just like completely. What happened here? Let's go! What just happened? What happened?
I don't know. Technical issues. Looks like it's like timed out, but it's
froze. Did Sleeper freeze?
Come on.
All right. Well, I guess he autoed Kamara, but I can't see. There it is. Okay. He said he's trying to click Cook, so I'll.
Sleeper is usually pretty smooth, but once in a while it glitches. So
It's
but he's
not,
online. He didn't leave.
but it's not even letting me change the player. Change the player. Huh. Okay, there we go. We got it. All right, hopefully we're okay now. All right.
All right.
Anyways,
And
back
you're
to
up.
Hopkins. I feel like where he went tonight was probably fair value. That's probably about where I'd be comfortable taking him. This has definitely been an interesting draft. There are a lot of running backs off the board. Do we agree with QB going in the first round? Would you ever take a QB in the first round? Why do I feel like Pierre can't hear me? Can everybody hear me? Oh, Pierre is muted. Why can't I unmute him? Oh, and we lost Pierre. All right. Well, I'll just say, hopefully you guys can hear me. I will not draft a QB in the first round. No way. Even the second round, I'm not doing it. Third round is where I'll start to consider it. Like in a format like this, like I did with Jalen Hurts tonight, I'll start to consider it, but never in the first round. No way. All right, I had a quick trade question in redraft PPR. I trade away Kelsey and Ridley, and I get Andrews and Wilson. I do like Andrews and I do like Wilson. Of course, I like Kelsey. I'd probably do it. It's close. It's a 2-flex league, so tight end not as important. I think I take the wide receiver upgrade. I think I do it. All right, he's back, but he's still muted.
Sorry, I had to restart.
Oh, there we go. He's back.
Froze on me.
So I was about to answer this question from Hunter. So in auction, where you can keep a player for $30, who would you keep for $30? CMC or Lamb?
Redraft auction?
I assume so.
Redraft, but it's like a redraft auction, but it's a keeper, I guess, limited keeper or something like that.
Yeah. I think in keeper, I'm going Lamb.
I'll go Lamb. I mean, you don't want to just be risk averse, but yeah, I'm okay if Lamb, seeing as how he's an elite receiver, I think I can put him up in that tier. Sure, maybe CMC has a higher ceiling, but yeah, if I have to keep one, I'll keep Lamb.
Yeah, I think there's a better chance next year you feel good about Lamb. You feel better about Lamb than CMC.
Yeah, but also we're looking at Lamb as a top 5, a first round value, a first round player, and we're taking
Yeah,
Lamb as about the same spot as CMC. So it's not like, oh, I'm gonna take the lesser receiver just to be safe. Like, no.
right.
All right. Well, this looks like I'm up again. Which, by the way, I had to grab Tua there just because the only other person who doesn't have a quarterback is the only other guy I feel like would have taken Tua, and that's Keith. So I had to take him there. Now I have to take a tight end though. I really don't love Waller, but I feel like this is still a good value for him.
I'm glad you took him because I kept avoiding them.
Yeah, and I'm not. I don't know. I'm not completely fading him. I don't want him, too much, but yeah, at this point, it's worth it because I'm also now one guy I am fading a little bit. I don't think Burks is going to be hurt too much, but I am fading Chig because a lot of those targets that were up for
Yeah,
grabs, they're not there anymore. I think Chig doesn't become a guy I'm going to want as my starting tight end anymore.
yeah. That Hopkins signing definitely killed the Chig hype. That's for sure. It was much better when the only real targets in the offense were Burks and Chig. Because even if they do throw more, which they probably will, we're not talking about like a team that's going to throw the ball a ton. So, you don't want somebody there like Hopkins who's going to take probably have the highest target share, and then Burks will be second. Now we're talking about Chig being the third highest target share on a team that's not going to throw the ball probably.
Okay, so take your antihistamine. Take your antihistamine.
Should I snipe you?
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I mean, I'm not too worried about my fourth running back because I went my third one early-ish, but yeah, there's pretty much nobody left I want there. So let's do boring receiver.
Take your antihistamine.
All right, Keith pronouncing that Chig is still alive.
I mean,
Austin
he's still alive,
Hooper.
and I'd still be okay with him in Dynasty, but in redraft, I mean, it's hard to see the path anymore. Because I mean, what are we looking at here? Like, I mean, how many pass attempts did the Titans throw per game last year? They were 26.8. Let's say it goes up to like 32. You got to figure Hopkins at like 25 to 27%. Burks probably are in that 18 to 20% range. We're probably only talking like Chig in that like 15-ish% range. For a team that only throws the ball 32 times, that's not a lot of targets.
Yeah, sorry to say, because Keith's usually like right on the spot with things. I don't know that using Austin Hooper is a great
Yeah.
argument. I mean, like if anything, Austin Hooper should have a path this year because right, he's with the Raiders. Waller's gone. I mean, Mayer they took early, but he's a rookie tight end. Rookie tight ends don't do anything. So maybe he has some value this year. But we keep saying that of Austin Hooper. How many teams has he been on where you keep saying, "Hey, this is the year with Cleveland and then with Tennessee," and now it's like no. So yeah, I'm not worried about Chig anymore. I'll stash him in Dynasty, but yeah, kind of killed a lot of the excitement.
Like that Van Jefferson pick. Keith with the league-winning pick in the last round.
Because I took his Tua, so we know he's fine going AR. All right, Clayton, let's see if this makes it 7.
Well, he needs a tight end, so I doubt he got sniped. Yeah, I need a tight end too. It's basically who's left.
I kind of had to make sure not to take Romeo Dobbs this draft because I don't want to all of a sudden become like a truther or whatever you call it. A fan,
I think
a
you
stan.
might be. I think you might be getting there.
Yeah. And I like Jaden Reed. It's just, I'm realistic looking who's getting the targets and all that. Wow. I didn't even notice. I just was sitting back waiting for my fallback running back, Jerome Ford, to be there, but he's not there. So now I actually have to think.
I feel like in tonight's draft, it's like everybody's in my head. Like everybody's like just like, I guess maybe because we're doing a video a day, everybody we covered so many players.
I have no backup plan.
Well, this is the easiest pick of the night for me because I need a tight end. One pick left. He went undrafted. No Michael Thomas. Wow.
No believers. All right, that's fine. But I believe it is time to go over all the rosters. Let's start with Team 1, who I will never say, Kajar Tenari.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
Justin Jefferson. It's a good start. Tony Pollard, Josh Allen, DeAndre Hopkins, and Jerry Jeudy with Monty, Goddard, Khalil Herbert, Bateman, Rondell Moore, Eli Mitchell, and Jalen Hyatt.
I mean, I like the first 3 picks for sure. I just feel like after that, it got a little kind of like safe-ish for me because I do like one thing I feel about Hopkins now is he's probably going to be more like a floor play. Not going to have a big ceiling in Tennessee. Kind of how I feel about Jeudy. Kind of how I feel about Montgomery. Goddard, like a safe set and forget tight end. I just feel like after the first 3 picks, his team just got really, really safe.
Yeah, safe doesn't win. Safe doesn't win leagues. I kind of see what you're saying. I mean, the first 3, of course, the first pick's no brainer, and then after you come to the turn, you still have great players left. Yeah, none of these guys really get me going. Hopkins, like somebody asked the question earlier, where do you draft Hopkins? I don't draft him this early. He's okay, and Judy's okay, and
Yeah.
Monty is okay, and yeah, it's just like a okay team.
Yeah.
Paper went with Chase, Jacobs early, Ramondre, Mike Williams, Burrow, and then Kittle. Madison is the third running back, and then Brandon Cooks, Cortland Sutton, Nico Collins, Rashawn Johnson, and DPJ.
Yeah, I would have reversed the order of Jacobs and Stevenson, honestly, but you got them both, so it's fine. Hopefully Jacobs plays for you. I like Mike Williams paired with Chase. That's a ton of weekly upside at wide receiver, a ton of upside at running back, assuming Jacobs plays, of course. Burrow is great. I think getting Kittle there is good value. Madison in the 7th as your RB3. Okay, it's fine, I guess. You took some shots late, so I definitely like this team more. I feel like this team definitely has a lot more upside than Team 1.
Yeah, I like it better. I mean, we're just gonna have to pretend that Josh Jacobs, plays all season and everybody's happy and holding hands and plays fair. Okay, so if that's the case, your running backs, you're solid, your receivers, you know what? You can mix and match Cooks and Sutton and Nico. I think one of those guys will be fine at your flex. Um, Again, I'm going to keep saying just because it happened to me, I don't love taking Kittle there because I'd rather have a higher end receiver, but like I actually don't mind Cooks this year. I know I'm probably a little higher on him than you are, so I think it turned out fine. Now this team, I don't know. Let's see how it turned out. So you went Cup. So you officially firmly have Cup before Hill because I've seen this over and over again, right?
Yep. Cup.
All right.
That's the exact order I have it. Those first 4 guys, but I got Cup over Hill. Yes.
All right. So no problem there, even though Tyreek Hill already said he's going over 2,000 yards this year. So, but anyway, like Cup, okay. Cup, Higgins, Jalen Hurts, Brees Hall. We got to talk about that again. Hollywood, Rashad White, Lockett, Charbonnet, Pirine, Chase Brown, and Bigsby. So you went deep on RB. You got 6 RBs and only 4 receivers. This is interesting for you. And then Dulcich, which love the Dulcich pick. Hurts, of course. And regardless of whether Brees Hall as your RB1 is a great thing or not, I think you have good. You did well on your RB depth because you chased upside there. But receiver, yeah, I think receiver's fine. So let's talk about the Brees Hall thing again.
Well, I think actually my regret here is I contemplated Stevenson or Pollard over Higgins, and I wish I would have. Because if I could have gotten Cooper on the way back, I think I would like my team a lot more. I think that's where I made a mistake. Obviously, Brees Hall, I mean, I just took the value that was there, but you know how I feel about Brees Hall this year. Maybe towards the end of the season, he'll get back close to 100%, but this team needs Brees Hall week 1. Like, I can't roll with Rashad White and Zach Charbonnet or Samaje Perine as my 2 running backs and expect to contend. So, yeah, I think the mistake here was going Higgins over one of those running backs.
Well, I'll tell you. I don't know if you remember, I kind of was saying right before your 3rd round pick, I was like, oh, I already know what you're going to do, but you didn't. I thought you were taking Amari Cooper for sure. So I was kind of happy to get him there, but that shocked me.
Well, I just, in this format, I mean, I guess I could have in this format, but in this format, I just feel like it just doesn't lend itself as well. I mean, it would have been fine with Cooper as my flex, but I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that would be a big difference maker. I think the difference maker for me is in this format going Higgins over one of the running backs and then going Hurts and having Brees as my RB1.
Yeah. Hindsight is always perfect, but yeah, that's right. Because if Brees isn't ready week 1, like you said, you're starting Rashad White and then Charbonnet, who's probably not going to do much of anything week 1. Pirine will be the starter, it looks like. But you're not too jazzed up about him as your starting running back because then Brown and Bigsby, maybe Charbonnet too, probably aren't going to do much, if anything, earlier in the season. So, all right. But still, if Brees Hall pans out, then you're good. All right, I got Tyreek Hill, Derrick Henry, Amari Cooper, Etienne. Which, by the way, I'm curious, if I had not taken Etienne, would you have taken him instead of Brees Hall?
Yes, because I needed somebody again. This team needed a running back for week 1, and I feel like 100% confident, barring a camp injury, that Travis Etienne will be the guy week 1.
Yeah, and I'm all over Tank, but still, I see there's room for both these guys to thrive. Maybe I'm just coming around on the whole Jags offense in general. All right, but anyways, I went Etienne. I got Deontay Johnson, who I'm also now more interested in than I was earlier. Aaron Jones, that's right. Roberto noticed I did take Aaron Jones. I'm a little higher on him than you are. But again, this is my RB3, not even a starter for me. JSN, Burks, Tua, Waller, probably the first time I've drafted him, Jacoby Myers, and Ty Chandler. Absolutely panic picked.
I think it's a solid team. You got Tyreek and Cooper. That's great at wide receiver. Henry and Etienne. That's great at running back. Between Deontay and Aaron Jones, you'll be solid at flex. Tua as your QB is fine. I'm not super high on Waller, but at that point, he's fine. You got good depth. I mean, this is a good team. This is a very good team.
I do think it's interesting now. Maybe it's not every draft, but Waller going later than Njoku and Evan Ingram and Freiermuth. Like we weren't seeing that earlier.
I think that's only in our drafts, though.
Yeah, probably.
I don't think that's normal.
Hypothetical question: Saquon sits out week 1 or any part of the season. Is that good for Waller?
I guess, but I mean, they've got like six slot receivers on this team. I don't know how they're all gonna. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I can't get too jazzed up about anybody catching passes from Daniel Jones. Sorry, but I'll take shots late. But I don't know that I want Waller as a starting tight end in general. But there he is. All right, Yug Bogdan. I believe, is that a new user for us?
Yes, welcome.
All right, welcome. So start off with CMC, then Devontae Smith and Pat Mahomes. That's a nice start. Terry is wide receiver 2. Akers, Pitts, Pickens, Mike Evans, Algier, Zay Jones, Juju, and Chuba.
Man, Akers in the 5th. This was an interesting draft for sure. I guess I don't mind it. I mean, I like Akers, of course. I'm wondering if there's some guys I would have taken over him. Maybe, maybe not. I guess it's okay. I mean, it's your RB2 with CMC. I think it's fine. You got Smith and McLaurin at your wide receiver. I don't know. Maybe I would have preferred. I don't know. Do I prefer those guys over? I guess I'm looking at the board. I don't know what else you could have done. Maybe here. I don't know. When Cooper goes, kind of, hit that next tier at wide receiver. So I guess it's okay. I like the Pitts pick. I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this draft. This draft's kind of like making me feel like kind of good, kind of not good.
I think there's a couple players who it's not even that I don't feel like they don't deserve to be where they were selected. It's just a little earlier than they usually are taken. Like McLaurin as your wide receiver 2. We usually see him go, a little bit later. Akers, I think that's where he should be drafted. And by the time draft season officially is here, that's probably where he will be drafted in a lot of leagues, but it's a little early for most of our drafts. I think the Pitts pick is good. Pickens is good. Evans, I'm fine with him there. So I think they're all good picks. Like you said, I'm like, okay, well, maybe instead of McLaurin, but who, right? Like maybe Mike Williams is the only guy I really would put over him. So I think it's fine. I think you did the best you could with what you had. Picking 5th isn't, it's not the ideal spot.
True. That is true.
Less ideal is the 6th spot, but the king of the world is there. And he took Bijan. Smart move. And then Chubb. Then went Metcalf, Debo, Lamar, Godwin, Mixon, Johnston, Njoku, Kendre, Gabe Davis, and Romeo Dobbs.
It's funny. So he started the draft with the running back that everybody says we're way too high on this year. And then he took 3 players that I've been like, wow, people are way too high on these guys. So it's like, you took the player I love. They took the 3 guys where I'm like, oof. I mean, Bijan and Chubb is your RB2 is more than solid. Excuse me. And man, DK and Debo as your wide receivers, even in a 2 wide receiver league, that does not make me feel very good, to be honest. Lamar is great. I think Godwin, honestly, might be as good or better than your 2 wide receivers. I guess Mixon is okay there. I like the Njoku pick. I like the Kendrick pick. I don't even mind the Gabe and the Dobbs pick. It's just that Metcalf and Debo as my wide receivers just does not make me feel good at all. Maybe I'll be wrong on those guys, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think this is the DK pick. We've been over that. I think Debo, where you got him, is fine as your wide receiver 2 because we know his upside. I don't love Debo this year, but I think where you got him is okay. But yeah, that's right. It's fine to start RB in this format, but yeah, I don't want DK as my wide receiver 1. You already know that. Lamar has a season we think he's going to have. You'll be fine. I would have preferred if you would have stacked him with like a Zay Flowers instead of a Quentin Johnson, and then take a higher upside running back later instead of Joe Mixon. But overall, I think this is a solid job of drafting in the undesirable number 6 spot. And then AL, always dominant. Pick the 7. Went with CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Mark Andrews, Christian Kirk, Justin Fields. And so I guess in this format, we can call this a 0 RB team. So his RBs are Damian Pierce, Isaiah Pacheco, Brian Robinson, Devonta Shane, and then took Beckham, Gallup, and Jalen Warren. Did he pull it off?
I think he did. I like his 3 wide receivers. Got a good tight end, got a good QB. I think between Pierce, Pacheco, Robinson, and Shane, you should have 2. You don't have like a high upside running backs, but that's okay because you have 3 high upside wide receivers, so you don't really need them. But I think you'll have 2 solid starters at least. So yeah, I definitely think he pulled it off.
Yeah, this team would have been a lot more interesting if it had Swift instead of Pierce because you get a little more upside there. Risky, you're sure, but yeah, that would have made it more interesting. But good job as always. What can I say? Clayton went with Diggs, Waddle, Najee, Ayuk, Herbert. He took Swift. He took Dalvin Cook, but as his 3rd running back, also took Kamara. Not scared. Tony, Mingo, Deontay Foreman, and Cole Kmet.
Yeah, another team I like. You got Diggs and Waddle at wide receiver. That's tremendous. Najee should at least give you a nice high weekly floor. Ayuk is your flex is fine. Herbert is great at quarterback. And then between Swift and Cook, you should hopefully have a decent RB2. Maybe even Kamara will be like startable. Maybe we'll see when he comes back from suspension, whatever happens with that. But I think there's enough here that even if he's not, you'll still be okay. So I think this is going to be the theme as we go deeper in this draft. We're going to like the teams more and more.
Seems to be the case. I actually do like this team a lot so far compared to all the other teams. 3 really good receivers, and then Najee and Swift. I'm happy with those running backs. You got Herbert, stud at quarterback. Kmet, fine. I would prefer Dulcich, but whatever. Tight end's a tight end. So I really like this team. I don't know if I would have taken Cook and Kamara, like maybe one and not the other. But again, he's also saying he got sniped. Maybe he was going to take a Shane. Who knows? But yeah, you did a good job. Yeah. And then Joe, what's up, Joe? Austin Eckler, Olave, London, Dobbins, Addison, and then Deshaun Watson, Gibby. Totally sniped him from Keith. Took Freiermuth, took Sky Moore, Jerick McKinnon, Curtis Samuel, and Khalil Shakir. Some interesting late round picks there.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, these are like all of my guys. Like the first 9 picks. I mean, there's some guys I feel like that he took early, like maybe Dobbins there, maybe Addison there feels early, Gibson feels early, Freiermuth feels early, but does it matter? Like I like this team a lot. I mean, Eckler and Dobbins at running back, Olave and London at wide receiver, Addison at flex, Deshaun at QB, Freiermuth at tight end, Gibby and Sky Moore on the bench. McKinnon, Shakir, Samuel, not necessarily my favorite, late round guys, but I think this is it feels like there are some reaches here, but then when you look at the team, it's like, this is a good team. Maybe I got to start reaching on guys more.
Yeah, like the late rounds, that's the time to reach. You took smart picks. Like Shakir is a smart flyer. Sky Moore, of course, a good pick. That's definitely one of your guys. McKinnon, I mean, I don't know. He could have had. Looks like he could have had Kendry Miller instead of McKinnon. Like that's definitely a pick I would have made, but it's not going to make or break your team. That's your fourth running back, unless Kendry Miller breaks out. But look, I'd love to have Eckler and Dobbins as my 1-2 for running back. Olave in London and in Addison. It's young, but ton of upside. So that's better than being too old. That's for sure. And then you got Watson or Muth, really solid. So well done. All right. Andrea said she was trying something different. Went with AJ Brown, took Barkley, not scared, took Gibbs at third. Watson, Trevor Lawrence, Pittman, and then AJ Dillon, Zay Flowers, Jamal Williams, Evan Ingram, Van Jefferson, and then Rashid Shaheed.
I mean, I like this team a lot too. This is like, I'm just going to start picking the late spots in these drafts. Obviously, we got to assume Barkley's playing. Otherwise, this team takes a big hit. But I mean, AJ Brown and Watson is your wide receivers. Barkley and Gibbs is your running backs, solid. Pittman, Dillon, Zay Flowers in your flex. One of those guys should be fine. T-Lot quarterback. You got the T-Lot Ingram stack. I like it. I really like Van Jefferson and Shaheed as late round picks. Definitely like this team.
This is the, all in team. Like this team probably has the highest ceiling and the lowest floor, if you know what I mean. I mean, Barkley and Gibbs could be just monster backfield, or it could come back to bite you. Watson is a guy is going to be all or nothing every week. AJ Brown, of course, we know his ceiling. Then Trevor Lawrence, I think could have a monster season. So yeah, this team will have some ups and downs, but the ceiling is super high. And then there's Keith, who was just saying he got sniped hard on QB in the 5th and running back in the 7th. Let's see how it turned out. Went Kelsey first, and then Sun God Ridley and DJ Moore. You got to love that start. And then he took Sanders and Connor. So he's saying he got sniped on QB in the 5th. Yeah, that was that crazy QB run that did not anticipate. But that's okay. And then running back, let's see. Running back, he went with Sanders and then Connor. And then there was a running back run, yeah. So Elijah Moore, Rashad Penny, Damian Harris, Jameson Williams, Singletary, and AR.
I mean, for getting sniped on QB, Anthony Richardson is a pretty good consolation prize. Once again, I like this team. You got Kelsey. That's nice. You got 3 really good wide receivers with St. Brown, Ridley, and Moore. Sanders and Connor, again, I don't know if they have tremendous weekly upside, but you don't really need tremendous weekly upside. They'll probably give you a nice high floor every week in your running back spots. And you got guys on the bench like Elijah Moore, Rashad Penny, Damian Harris, even maybe Jameson towards the end of the season. We'll see that can contribute. So another team I really like.
I was going to say this team has the highest floor based on the way the first few rounds shook out, but then I realized Anthony Richardson is the quarterback. So I'm not sure about that anymore. And then the running backs, yeah, there's some risk here. But, I would love to have those 3 receivers and Travis Kelce. So, yeah, you're pretty solid here. And then we got the other John. Garrett Wilson, JT, Keenan Allen, Kenneth Walker, Jahan Dotson, Hawkinson, Prescott, James Cook, Javonte Williams, Mooney, Jaden Reed, and somehow sniped me on Jerome Ford.
Yeah, we don't see Jerome Ford get picked very often. I'm glad to see him. I thought about him when I took Tank. It was between him and Ford, actually. Running backs are pretty solid. JT is good. I think Kenneth Walker will be fine as an RB2. James Cook. I mean, Javonte and Ford, you might be lacking on depth there a little bit. We'll see. I like your wide receivers. I don't know if Keenan's the guy I'm going with there. I think Keenan will be okay, but I probably would just like some more upside guys behind him, like DJ Moore, Watson, Kirk, guys like that. I think he's okay. I do like Dotson though as your flex there. Hawkinson in the 6, I think is fine. Dak, I think that's good right there for Dak. So overall, it's a solid team for me.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'd rather have Moore or Watson, maybe even Ayuk instead of Keenan Allen. So that kind of lowers the upside a little bit. And then, yeah, I'm not a lover of Hawkinson in the mid rounds. I guess it's fine because you already had your 2 running backs and 3 receivers. So it probably didn't really alter your roster construction too much. And you did get some good upside there with James Cook in the later rounds, some smart late round picks. So I think this team is definitely going to be a solid contender if Jahan Dotson is worth flexing. I think that's the big if.
Yeah.
All right, and then Clayton, let's get to his question. Been waiting for this. Wants to know before we go, redraft Superflex. Would you rather Mahomes, Rashad White, and Diggs, or Herbert, CMC, and Olave?
Oh, it's got to be Herbert, CMC, and Olave. I mean, you're talking about a
Yeah.
mid first round pick in CMC. Like CMC and Diggs, I mean, pretty similar with CMC over him. I mean, I like Rashad White, but come on, Olave like miles over Rashad White. And then, yeah, Mahomes will be better than Herbert, but I think Herbert will be really good. So definitely the Herbert, CMC, Olave side.
Yeah. Again, Mahomes, I know best quarterback in the game, but in fantasy, not a huge drop off between him and Herbert. There's a huge drop off between CMC and Rashad White. Even if Rashad White has a great season, there should be a huge drop off. And Olave,
Yeah.
I mean, we have him pegged as a wide receiver 1, so really not a huge difference between him and Diggs. So it's definitely the Herbert, CMC, Olave side. So there you go. All right, guys, that's it. We'll do our final dynasty mock of the season tomorrow. Don't forget, we're gonna help you build champions now. Even if you're not wanting to join our league, still take that dynasty course. It's available, plus so much more, including rankings, everything there in flockfantasy.com/endgame. Sign up now while you can, and we'll see you on the next one.